Good evening and welcome to the commencement exercises for the class of 2021. My name is Gabriela Bernabeu. I am the junior class representative and I will be the master of ceremonies for today's momentous event. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la ceremonia de la graduación de la promoción del 2021. And now, please stand for the graduating class and remain standing for the national anthems. Y ahora, pónganse en pie para los graduandos y permanezcan en pie para los himnos nacionales. Please be seated. Puede sentarse. The senior class has selected Mr. Cody Bai, former ASM faculty member, to give the invocation. La promoción de 2021 ha elegido al señor Cody Bai, antiguo profesor de ASM, para dar la invocación esta tarde.
Hello, class of 2021. First, I want to thank the class of 2021 for giving me the opportunity of delivering the invocation. I was pleasantly surprised and consider it one of the greatest honors of my teaching career. When I look back fondly on my time at ASM, I think of growth. I reflect on my goal of having an impact on your growth as students and as people. What I didn't expect was the mutualistic relationship that developed. Just like the oxpecker and the zebra, bees and flowers, humans and plants. That is, we benefited from being able to be in the lives of one another. You helped me to grow to become the teacher I am today. That is why it is such an honor to be part of this journey with you. You will always play an important role in my life and my memories of teaching in Madrid. Just as I hope I have made an impact on the individuals you are and will become. You have all achieved something special during your time here. And what that is unique to you as an individual. No one can take that away, whether it be through sports achievements, art performances, academic grades, or developing the confidence and social skills, all of which will help you set up for life after school. When I look back on my own time at school, it's not the grades I remember, but the teachers who left a lasting impact, the friends who saw me through these challenging times, and the family who supported me along the way. Those memories will stay with you for a lifetime. I still look back at my time in Canada and think of how my favorite teacher, Pat Cullen, a math teacher, I know, how original, shaped my life through his critical ear and intellectual curiosity. Cherish them and cherish each other. Now looking forward to your next stage in life. I want you to all try to build on the strengths you already have. One thing that impressed me about the class of 2021 was your ability to take calculated risks when posed with new situations and problems. That is a tough skill to master in life, and one that will leave you with a few bruises along the way. Continue to embrace a growth mindset and not to shy away from new experiences. You may know that I've become a father for the first time this year. I'm constantly in new situations. I have no idea how to become a perfect dad. Your resilience and creative thinking is truly inspiring. And those qualities are more valuable than any number on a sheet of paper. Like the mutualistic relationship I spoke about at the start, this is something I've taken away from your class and applied it in my own life and parenting. Thank you for that. Collaboration is another key element of the IB and of life. While things might appear to be binary and only have one right solution, there are many different perspectives on any situation. Patience and mutual respect will help you attain these perspectives. You are also very lucky that you got to study in an international school and learn alongside people from different backgrounds and cultures. Through learning from one another, you get to be able to take the strength from one another's perspectives. Take the time to see the things that you would have never seen on your own. Now, as you move on to the next chapter of your life, never stop learning from others and embracing different point of views. When I was in high school, my mother would say, "Cody, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room." I never really appreciated that advice until I actively sought out some amazing rooms and I felt the resulting personal growth. Soak in all that everyone around you has to offer. You're just at the beginning of such an exciting journey ahead. You're going to meet so many new people, and you're going to have such vast experiences. You will be able to learn something from each and every one of them. Do so. I will leave you with a quote from the Breakfast Club. We're all pretty bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it. That's all. Embrace your uniqueness. Thank you, class of 2021, for this honor.
To welcome you to the ceremony, I would like to present Mr. Philippe Bolster, the Upper School Director. Para darles la bienvenida a nuestra ceremonia de hoy, les presento al señor Philippe Bolster, director de la escuela secundaria.
So this is what I look like. It's been a strange year. I'll try this without my glasses. Good evening, graduates, parents, faculty, board of trustees, and extended family and friends who are watching from the comfort of their homes. It's truly wonderful that we can share this evening with parents and other family members here at ASM. From the perspective of being new to this wonderful community, it has been a somewhat strange experience, transitioning to a new school, yet not being able to connect physically with the immediate families of our students. I am both excited and thankful that as we come to the end of this school year, I have this great opportunity to connect with you this evening. Graduates, it's been a challenging journey for you and for so many other young adults from around the world that have experienced these last years in school in the context of a global pandemic. It would be amiss of me if I did not address this to some extent, yet I don't want it to be the main context of the words I wish to share with you today. Nonetheless, I do want to congratulate you. The pandemic has asked all of us to think about our own individual actions, and in doing so, to think more deeply about our role as global citizens. It seems apt that in a school as diverse both nationally and culturally as ASM is, we will be able to grasp the global nature of our responsibilities. It has not been easy, and we all, myself included, have probably failed at times to act as we should have for the greater good. However, I am confident that all of us have tried, and in doing so, have learned and benefited from that experience. For you, being locked down in your houses last spring and having some of the norms of your lives restricted have required you to adapt and change. You have done so. Congratulations to all of you. It has been a challenging year for our teachers and staff at ASM as well. They've had to carry out their roles under much anxiety and stress, their normal roles changing drastically at times. They have adapted so admirably, and I am proud to be part of a committed and empathetic group of adults who share a common goal of supporting and developing the students in our care. So, seeing as I have had limited time to get to know you this year, and most of my interactions, unfortunately, are about asking you to keep your distance and covering your nose with your mask, I will add a thread of some personal details to the remainder of my speech, so you can leave having learned a little more about who I am, and with me sharing some reflections of my own life that, I don't know, who knows, maybe some will be useful to you and yours. There are two themes that I'd like to share with you. The first one is about opportunity and obligation. As young adults, you've had the opportunity of attending such a great school like ASM, and you are in many ways luckier than the vast majority of students who never have such an opportunity. I think back to my years as a student, as a high school student, and it was not a great time for me. I was not a very engaged student. I wasn't the easiest of students for my teachers to deal with either. I was more focused on having a laugh and being a clown than I was on actually learning much of what my teachers were trying to teach me. In short, I was a chronic pain, and to my mother as well. The friends I grew up with are still confused as to how someone like me, who spent every high school day wishing high school would end, I actually ended up in high school for an additional 23 years, and counting. That's 23 graduations, not including my own. That's about the same number of proms. I know you're disappointed not having yours this year, but believe me, after about 10, they get a bit old. Having spent this many years in schools like ASM, though, as an adult, where we are surrounded with committed educators, a vastness of resources that many non-private schools don't have, a high level of support from parents, and a diverse international community, I truly feel that if I'd had these opportunities in my own school life, then I'd have a much more memorable high school experience to look back on now. It wasn't that my teachers or school didn't care, they just didn't have the means at their disposal. So what does this have to do with obligation? I believe that in every aspect of our lives, if we are lucky enough to have great opportunities, then we have an obligation to not waste those opportunities, as many others do not have such privilege. As you head into the next chapters of your lives, I hope you take with you a sense of responsibility for making the best of these opportunities and along the way applying your successes for the betterment of others. Given the education you've received, the support you have from your families, and the road ahead of you, you are probably better placed than most young adults to make a positive difference to your future communities, and I urge you to accept that responsibility. The second theme I wish to address is perspective and happiness. I'll get a little personal here again. I mentioned my mother earlier in this speech. I didn't mention my father, and I didn't do so as when I was 11 he died. Although this event made the lives of myself and my other 5 siblings quite challenging, not to mention that of my extremely strong and impressive mother, it also taught me perspective. I truly believe that one's happiness is to a large degree dependent on one's ability to maintain a healthy perspective in their lives. My teenage years growing up with the challenge of not having my father around helped me to understand and grasp this concept. It taught me to keep a level head and to know that in almost all challenging times, things could be worse. And they are probably a hell of a lot worse for a lot more people than I. It also made me realize that it's not all about me, and I shouldn't take myself too seriously. I'm not saying that one needs to go through significant personal trauma to develop perspective. I'm sure, and I hope that's not the case. They just need to remind themselves of what they have and how lucky they may actually be. Perhaps it could come from a commitment to service to others that reminds us of this. Or perhaps telling our inner selves that having a €60 pair of sneakers instead of a €200 pair of sneakers still puts us in the top 10% of sneaker wearers in the world. Whatever works for you is fine. If you can find a way to maintain a healthy perspective, then I'm pretty sure you have a solid chance of achieving happiness in your lives. So, graduates, although our time together has been limited, I am honored to have known you, to have seen you through your senior year. I hope that you will be proud ASM alumni who are always happy to call themselves Lancers. I wish you a lifetime where you accept the obligations that come with your successes and opportunities, and that you will always be able to find happiness that you wish to have in your lives. And don't take yourselves too seriously. Take care.
It is my pleasure to introduce our first student speaker this evening, Mohamed Namin. Mohamed is a member of the senior class who has been at ASM since K1 and was designated by his peers to deliver his speech. Es un placer presentarles al primer alumno que hablará esta tarde, Mohamed Namin. Mohamed es un miembro de la clase que está en ASM desde K1 y fue designado por sus compañeros para dirigirse a ustedes hoy.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I would like to thank the school and staff for all these amazing years and allowing us to have a proper graduation ceremony. I would also like to thank the parents because, funny enough, it really seemed like the parents cared about our problems much more than we did this year. And for that, I can say on behalf of the class of 2021, we appreciate everything you have done. For many of you, you're gonna know the poem I'm gonna say right now, but I've used this poem for the past 6 years to help me through life and through school. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. So Eden sank to grief, and so dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. Now I tell you this poem in attempts to have you to look at this world and life in the future in your new chapters as something that's not always going to be there. So enjoy every moment. It is an honor for me to be giving this speech. It feels like yesterday that I was sitting in the crowd, 8 years old, looking up to the graduating class of 2011, walking down those steps. At that time, I just thought to myself that my day will come and I will walk down the same steps my siblings did. As shocking as it is, 10 years have passed since then, and here we are, on the stage getting ready to start a new chapter of our own lives. However, not in a million years would I have ever thought that it would be under these circumstances. Crazy, right? We were faced with a global pandemic, and we were forced to adapt. For many, this was a dark period, a period full of negativity and uncertainty. However, we made the best that we could out of this situation. We neglected the negative and tried to focus on the positive. As I was writing this speech, I let myself drift into the negative experiences of these past 2 years. Then I thought to myself, why have I always cared so much and thought so deeply about the negative? I cannot emphasize this enough, but it really is not criticism, as much as it might seem like it. Many of you know me, and excuse my language, but I'm a pain in the ass for students, for the faculty, and for the parents, as I constantly advocate and speak up on behalf of the students and/or the staff. I do this not to criticize ASM, but I do this in the same way many parents have disagreements with their children. We think it's because our parents don't want us to have fun, or they scold us just because. But in reality, they do it in order to make us better people. The same way I and many others do it for ASM, to make it a better place, to make it a place we can proudly call our home. So with that being said, if I ever made it feel like I was criticizing it, it was never my intention. Anyways, enough of that. Now let's focus on the good experiences. So we are here today to celebrate all that we have accomplished as a class and a community, and I want to outline some memories throughout the years in ASM, starting from lower school. How can we forget those legendary end-of-the-year pool parties Khako had in his house, or as he would call them, the bomb.com, or our 5th grade drama where we all thought that Miss Beatty and Mr. Furman were going out. Middle school had a variety of experiences that really helped us mature in many ways. 6th grade was a difficult year for many of us, as a peer and a close friend passed away, Jonathan Gerwe. He'll forever be remembered and missed. And these experiences really brought many of us together and showed us to appreciate life and appreciate every moment we had together. With middle school also came my love for the handbook. Somehow I managed to get away with things simply by following the rules and reading the handbook. At that point, I was appointed the lawyer of the grade, unanimously. Don't get me wrong, I still got in trouble for so many things, and I'll never forget those wise words from Mr. Nugent, forgiven but not forgotten. Might have entertained many students, but I had quite a reputation for myself. 7th grade was quite the year as well, and I still stand by the statement that I have never had as much homework as I did in 7th grade. And I can assure you many of us who were here in 7th grade can relate. Mr. Nicosio's notes, Ms. Hannah's essays, Mr. Meyer's math homework. Honestly, now that I look back at it, I appreciate it. Mainly because to this day, I still use those Cornell-style notes that I learned in 7th grade with Mr. Nicasio, and for the rest of it, it taught me hard work and discipline. High school went by way too fast, yet I can say they have been the best years of my life, full of growth, both physically and mentally. For all of us. I will forever miss going into history class in 9th grade with Mr. Tribe or 10th grade with Mr. Hamlin. They had such a fascinating gift for storytelling that ignited my love for history, which carries out till this day, and many of us can stand by that statement. Or Susie Francie, who taught us so much about English in such a fun and creative manner. Or Mr. Bai, who I can proudly say was a mentor for me. Not only was he a math teacher, but he also taught us how to be adults. I would also like to mention Mr. Liver's patience. Really, we made it hell for him that year. But thank you so much for being patient with us. And to Mr. Ducharme, who made the infamous IB history seem like a breeze by the end of the 2 years. Lastly, I would like to thank both Sandra and Dr. Bree. Really, we all were terrified of both of you at the beginning of our IB journey, but we all have come to respect you so much and admire everything you have done for us. No one will ever put that much effort into getting us to do things for ourselves. You showed us that there are people who care for us outside our families, much more than we think, and we thank you so much for that. These past 15 years in ASM have been a pleasure. With this, I end my speech, and I thank all of you for such an amazing time at ASM. I will miss you all, and I would wish you luck, but luck is when preparation meets with opportunity. So go out there and remember that tomorrow's world is yours to build. Thank you.
Our next speaker is the 2021 class salutatorian, Gonzalo Quintanilla Payet. Gonzalo has been a student at ASM since 4th grade. He's a friendly, reflective, composed, respectful, and humble young gentleman. Most often, when not in his classes, you could find him diligently studying in the quiet side of the learning commons. His exemplary academic accomplishments at ASM speak to his self-motivation, effort, attention to detail, and strong interest in learning, especially in biology and chemistry. Outside the classroom, Gonzalo enjoys watching and discussing movies, listening to and playing music, and playing and watching soccer. Proud of his Peruvian heritage, he feels at home in both Madrid and in Lima, Peru. Gonzalo plans to study medical biochemistry at the University of Manchester in the UK next fall, with career interests in research and the development of pharmaceuticals, or possibly a career in medicine. Nuestro siguiente orador es el segundo de la promoción del 2021, Gonzalo Quintanilla Payet. Gonzalo está en ASM desde el 4º grado. Es un joven amigable, reflexivo, compuesto y respetuoso, y de carácter humilde. A menudo, cuando no está en clase, se le podía ver estudiando de manera diligente en la biblioteca. Sus ejemplares logros académicos en ASM describen su automotivación, esfuerzo, atención al detalle y enorme interés por aprender, especialmente en química y en biología. Fuera de clase, Gonzalo disfruta viendo y hablando de cine, escuchando y tocando música y jugando y viendo fútbol. Orgulloso de su origen peruano, se siente en casa tanto en Madrid como en Lima, Perú. Gonzalo tiene intención de estudiar bioquímica médica en la Universidad de Manchester, en Reino Unido, el próximo otoño, con intereses profesionales en el desarrollo de productos farmacéuticos o una posible carrera de medicina.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start by thanking Mr. Weinberg, Mr. Bolster, the administration, and everyone who made it possible for us to share this special event with our parents. Ever since COVID-19 pandemic struck us last year, we have all been forced to make sacrifices and give up things that we normally take for granted. And many of us had already come to terms with the fact that our graduation ceremony would not be the exception. Having our parents among us is truly a gift, and we thank you deeply for it. It is quite ironic for me to be delivering this speech, as I'm not particularly good at public speaking. I'm not great at any kind of speaking, really. However, if there's one thing that we have all learned in this past year, is how to face and adapt to unfamiliar situations. Our class was greatly affected by the pandemic, having to spend over 3 months of crucial learning time away from campus, coming back to a copious amount of protocols and regulations that prevented us from having the senior year we all would have liked, and ultimately having to take exams in spite of all the obstacles we were presented with. While it was certainly a challenge, I was proud to see my classmates pushing through and leaning on each other in order to overcome all adversities. It really is unbelievable to think that we are finally all over the hump, and we should all be proud of ourselves and each other, as it is a tremendous achievement. Class of 2021, We walked into this building as ASM students, and we will soon be leaving as alumni. As someone who has attended this school for more than 8 years, it is hard to imagine that I will not be coming back in September and seeing the same familiar faces, comparing schedules with my friends to see if we're in the same classes, getting to meet new students. Today we start a brand new chapter in our lives, and one that is full of uncertainties and opportunities, one that is as terrifying as it is exciting. School is really all we've known throughout our entire lives, and we're now entering a stage in which we really do not know what is going to happen. All we can do now is continue learning, doing our best, and most importantly, enjoy ourselves and try to be happy. I'm genuinely excited to see the great things that I'm sure you will all be doing in the future. I'm going to miss you all in this place. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our graduation.
Now I present you our class valedictorian, Lucas Tubillaga Mahar. Lucas is an amazing, multifaceted student who came to ASM in 10th grade. He's a top student, a nationally ranked swimmer, a big brother, a chemistry tutor, one of our delegates to the COP25 Climate Change Conference, and always gracious. His physics teacher said the following: Lucas is a model student. He engages deeply in the learning and builds up his peers to help them learn as well. Lucas learns from his learning's sake. He is the ideal ambassador for ASM to send out into the world and exemplifies what our students can become. Lucas will attend the University of Chicago as an engineering major. Ahora les presento al alumno designado como el primero de la promoción del 2021, Lucas Tubillaga. Lucas es un alumno impresionante, multifacético, que llegó a ASM en el grado 10. Es un alumno de primera, nadador de nivel nacional, hermano mayor, tutor de química y uno de nuestros delegados en la conferencia del cambio climático COP25, y siempre gentil. Su profesor de física dijo de él lo siguiente: Lucas es un alumno modelo, se involucra profundamente en el proceso de aprender y hace partícipes a sus compañeros para ayudarles a que aprendan a su vez. Lucas estudia por el placer de aprender. Es el embajador ideal que ASM puede lanzar al mundo como ejemplo de lo que nuestros alumnos pueden llegar a ser. Lucas irá a la Universidad de Chicago para estudiar ingeniería.
Good afternoon, parents, trustees, teachers, staff, people watching the live stream, and most importantly, the class of 2021. It is an honor to be here before you. I hope you have been enjoying this newly acquired freedom because you very much deserve it. As every valedictorian ever, the first thing I did was search up on Google valedictorian speech examples, as I had no idea what to write about. This query, however, lasted no more than 5 minutes as I became overwhelmed by the barrage of speeches from students going to Ivy League schools, written in what seemed like Old English. There was one thing that stuck with me, though. I should not give advice. Initially, I was planning on lecturing all of you about what and what not to do as you embark on your journey through adulthood. But then I realized, who am I kidding? I just turned 18. I'm literally an adult child. So, this speech will not be about giving you advice on life. Instead, I want to go over some highlights of the class of 2021, which I think is the best way to say farewell. Now, although some will remember us as the class who made teachers cry, the class that had really angry moms, the class that caused unnecessary controversy around some hoodies, or the class responsible for, other events that I can't mention up here, I think they failed to realize how awesome we are. We've accomplished incredible things on the local, national, and international scale. To start off strong, we got someone into Oxbridge for the first time in a decade. I said a decade because it makes it sound even more impressive than it is, but yeah, 10 years. To continue, the Global Citizens Club, with a senior on the front line, hosted the first ever TED Talk here at ASM, where 8 selected speakers enlightened us with their presentations on various global issues. And, as a cherry on top, Al Gore himself watched the live stream. Al Gore also would have loved what we did in December of 2019. ASM sent 3 students from the class of 2021 to speak as youth representatives at the COP25, an annual climate change conference organized by the United Nations. Talk about a class of activists. Adding on, we have an elite, well, professional, may I say, athlete among us. And as a perfect example of her inspiring dedication to horseback riding, she's unable to join us today because she's in France, competing for the Spanish national team. We also have an entrepreneur with us. As a co-founder of the e-advertising startup Ramo Media, this young man has made a scary amount of money for his age. Although the class of 2021 has done many more things worthy of mentioning up here, this speech is sadly timed, so I'm going to have to move on before Mr. Bolster kicks me off stage. I would like to mention that we have 2 teachers that are also leaving with us, Mr. Tribe and Mr. Hamlin. To show how much Mr. Tribe loves teaching, this is his 7th year announcing that he will retire. He says this is the final one, but who knows? Maybe he'll be back next year with his unforgettable, "Thank God it's Friday," during any day of the week, or he is endearing "Pop it." Sorry, I suck at British accents, but you get the gist of it. Although I was not lucky enough to have Mr. Hamlin as a teacher, I could recognize that Boston accent from a mile away. My classmates have also told me wonderful things about him, such as his everlasting patience. Mr. Tribe, Mr. Hamlin, thank you for your service to the school. Speaking of gratitude, on behalf of the graduating class, I would also like to thank the rest of the teachers who have worked extremely hard to get us here. You've been role models not only in our academic careers, but in our lives in general. By showing us how to think critically and analytically, you've equipped us with tools to prepare us for the intimidating uncertainty that lies ahead. Also, as a fun fact, my mom remembers her high school teachers better than her university professors, so there you have it. Class of 2021, I just want to end by saying that you should all be very proud of yourselves. You've managed to endure 4 long years of emotionally, physically, and socially stressful high school, 2 of which were affected by COVID-19. Although you've suffered more than any other class has in the past, and probably those in the future, unless there's a nuclear Armageddon or something, you've also learned more than them. Consider this a silver lining. After a long battle, or war, I must say, you're here, at the finish line, at the end of your high school career, at graduation. But don't be sad, because in the grand scheme of things, you really just started. Congratulations, class of 2021. As the great, but now canceled, Dr. Seuss once said, "Oh, the places you'll go." Thank you.
Traditionally, members of the senior class provide a musical interlude at our ceremony. The group consists of Marco Pangaro, Danielle, Matthew Lee, Sophia Meza, Cassandra, and Ryan Riggs, who will be performing a medley of Somewhere Only We Know by Kian and Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye. Es tradición que algunos miembros de la promoción nos deleiten con una actuación musical. Tengo el gusto de presentarles al grupo que tocará un medley de Somewhere Only We Know y Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
You got this one? Ryan?
It's not ours.
empty land. I know the pathway like the back of my hand. I felt the earth beneath my feet. Sat by the river and it made me complete. Or simple things, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. I came across a fallen tree. I felt the branches of it looking at me. Is this the place we used to love? Is this the place that I've been dreaming of? Oh, simple things, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. If you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere only we know? This could be the end of everything, so why don't we go somewhere only we know? Somewhere only we know. Oh, simple things, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. This could be the end of everything, so why don't we go somewhere only we know? Somewhere only we know. Somewhere only we know. One, two, three, four. Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, oh baby. If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far. Don't worry, baby, just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Remember the day I set you free, I told you you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I made a vow, I'll be there when you want me some way, somehow. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, and ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Oh no, darling, no wind, no rain, no winter's cold can't stop me, baby. No, no, baby, 'cause you are my love. If you ever been trouble, I'll be there on the double. Just sit for me, baby. My love is alive, way down in my heart, although we are miles apart. If you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double just as fast as I can. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Everybody put your hands together. Class of 21. 21. Yep. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain, ain't no valley, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Ain't no mountain, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Thank you, everybody. Now can we get a round of applause for our drummer, Matthew? We got Daniel on guitar. We have multi-talented Marco on piano and bass. For our first song, we have Eva and Cassandra. And on our last song, we have Sophia Metha and myself. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Please welcome the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Steve Shaver. Mr. Shaver has served on the Board of Trustees for 13 years and has a son, Carlos, in the 10th grade at ASM. Mr. Shaver has two daughters, both of whom graduation from ASM, Beatriz with the class of 2014 and Cristina with the class of 2011. Mr. Shaver will now introduce our commencement speaker, Mr. John D'Souza. A continuación va a tomar la palabra el presidente de la Junta Directiva, quien presentará a nuestro invitado de hoy.
Good evening, and congratulations, class of 2021. Born in Ethiopia, Mr. John D'Souza started his career in healthcare, performing research on guidance systems for robotic surgery at IBM's T.H. Watson Research Center. He also conducted research on virtual reality systems for NASA's Neuralab space project and on tools for laparoscopic surgery at the University of Tokyo. He received a BS and an MS degree in computer sciences and electrical engineering from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and an MBA from the Collège des Ingénieurs in France. John D'Souza is a serial entrepreneur who has started 4 companies. His latest venture is called Ample, a company that provides battery swapping for electrical vehicles. Previously, he was president and CEO of MedHelp, the world's largest online community and health application site. He co-founded Flash Communications, an internet startup company that developed real-time two-way messaging systems later acquired by Microsoft. Additionally, he was a co-founder and director of SmartLeaf, a financial software company, and he was the vice president of business development and marketing at DeSoft, an internet startup company acquired by Merrill Lynch. John serves on the board of several companies and foundations, including that of GE Healthy Imagination, a $6 billion strategy to revolutionize the world's health by improving the quality, access, and affordability of healthcare. John is also a member of the ASM community. Please join me in welcoming John D'Souza. Can you take it off for him?
Well, thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here. I'm so happy that we were able to actually let me take this off. I'm so happy we were able to get here in person to go through and celebrate this, because high school is an important milestone in all of our lives. I remember my high school graduation was very different from this. Now, to put things in context, I actually was born in Ethiopia, went to a British high school in Dubai, run by Italian nuns. That explains why I'm still recovering from high school. But my high school graduation was very simple. The head nun called me up, slapped me on the back, and gave me some incredible advice. She said, "Whatever you do, don't go to jail." and you should all follow that advice. It's great advice. But I have great memories from high school. And I'm still in contact with many of my teachers from high school. And as you leave here, I strongly advise you to stay in touch with all the teachers that have inspired you, encouraged you, and supported you through the years. No matter what you do in life, no matter what you achieve, there's nothing more grounding than your teacher telling you all the silly things you did in high school. So when I was asked to come and speak here, I was really excited. I went around and told everybody at every meeting, can you believe they asked me to speak at a high school? And most people didn't believe that. But then a couple of days ago, I had this panic attack, and it almost probably like if you have to do a 4,000-word extended essay and you're 2 days before it and you haven't done anything. And I felt, oh no, I'm actually going to have to prepare something for the speech. So I went through it, and I came up with this great idea. Now, a couple of years ago, I came here and gave a talk. Were any of you here for it? Oh, that's actually not good news. I was hoping I could recycle some of that talk, but you're not helping me out here. But in life, always have a plan B. Because especially when you know your plan A isn't good, and usually know your plan A is not good, have a plan B. And so I had a plan B, and it was similar to what the other person said. I went online and typed inspirational high school graduation speeches. And I was surprised to find out that Barack Obama and Drake had both spoken at high school graduations. Now you're there thinking, wait, we could have had Drake and we ended up with this guy? But before you get upset at the school, wait, let me be fair. They prepared an incredible day here today. And I wasn't their first choice of speaker. I wasn't the second choice of speaker. Think of me as the substitute speaker. Now it's like when you have a substitute teacher, and I know what goes on in the school when you guys have substitute teachers. So so I went there and I said, with this, you're going to come in and tell me, oh, they said I can skip this, go through and skip this talk. But there are two things that make me uniquely qualified to speak here today. One is I happen to live in Madrid, and second, I'm free today. So I want to talk to you about three things. I want to talk to you, one, about what an incredible time to be graduating from high school. Second, a couple of things that you can do to take advantage of this time. And the third is, above all, even if you forget the first two, is please don't listen to me. So let me go start with the first. What an incredible time to be graduating from high school. I remember when I was graduating from college. I was back in the early 90s, and I remember sitting in a computer lab at MIT and using a primitive web browser called Mosaic to access information from the other side of the world that somebody else had put up. I was able to see it, and I thought this is going to change the world. Now, nearly 30 years later, the world is very different right now. And I want to talk about some of the changes that have gone through. I'm going to talk about two different things. One is the tools that are enabling change, and the second, the industries that are being changed. So let's look at the tools that are enabling change. I'm going to start off with software. So this section will be a little bit technical, but hopefully it'll be helpful. Software has changed a lot from 30 years ago, but there are two aspects that are very important to all of you. First is accessibility, and the second is power. Any one of you can develop a mobile app in a week with the tools that are out there. It's accessible to all of you. And not only can you develop it, you can do something very powerful. You could create a mobile app that could understand speech by using all these open libraries out there, natural language processing. You could make it even go through and understand your specific speech patterns with all this AI and deep learning. But what wasn't there 30 years ago was the hardware revolution. Now, you've all been introduced to 3D printing, but we've gone so much further in 3D printing. We have large format printings. They're able to print buildings right now, which is unbelievable. You can do metal printing where you produce parts in metal that you can use directly in engines. So all of that has changed, and this world of hardware and software is built on this world of data. There's massive data out there that you have access to, but more than the data, you have databases that let you manipulate it, and you have this full world of data science that lets you get value and go through and understand all of that. But data alone would be very limiting if you couldn't move it back and forth. And this full world of telecommunications with 5G networks allows you to move it very quickly. We all take Google for granted out there, but Google on every single day moves the entire information on the internet around the world 10 times. That's staggering to be able to go through and do that. And then finally with that, you also need tremendous computing power. And you have access to, anyone if you could access a supercomputer through the computing in the cloud. And you also have this new world that's showing up there, what they call edge computing. All this comes together, and it allows you to do things like autonomous vehicles that go through and have powerful computers that are connected to the internet and can process tremendous amounts of data. So I want to talk to you about how this is changing 3 industries, and I'll talk to them very quickly. The first is entertainment. The ability to go through and record, edit, and publish video is transforming entertainment. Now, when you go through and look at the people out there, all this full world of YouTubers going through and creating have access to it. But you can go through and actually connect with your end users without an intermediary. So no graduation would be would be complete without mentioning the Kardashians. They've transformed the world of entertainment. They've gone through and showed you what you can go through and how you can reach people and use that to create a full industry. And I'll also say that the fact that Ronaldo has 281 million followers clearly means he's a better football player than Messi. So let me look at the second industry here. I want to talk about healthcare. Now, healthcare is going through a full transformation, and we're in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I want to focus on genomics. And actually with genomics, I'm going to give a quick shout out to my brother. My brother was on the cover of Time magazine because of the work that he and his company at Illumina did in terms of the COVID-19 virus. One thing I'll tell you now, if anybody after this asks me if he's my younger brother, I'll never talk to you again. But if you look at genomics, and when you look at one part of healthcare, it's unbelievable what it did for the full COVID-19. The ability to track the virus with going through and doing all this pathogen surveillance, the ability to go through and do testing and screening of the virus very rapidly, and the ability to get new vaccines. If you look at the novel mRNA vaccine created by Pfizer, BioNTech, as well as Moderna, it was created in record time in under a year. And more importantly, it's the only vaccine that was created at a company that never had the live virus at the facilities. That's staggering. All they had was the date of the virus from the Illumina sequences. So it's completely going through and changing healthcare. The ability to go through and sequence your genome affordably and quickly will completely change the world of therapeutics for all of you. Allow you to create real personalized medicines that impact your life. I want to talk one last space called fashion. And in fashion, it's being revolutionized with what's happening in material science and nanotech. So let's look at the world of fashion, what they call fashion tech. There are new materials, if you look, that have the ability to be sensors, to be displays, to be input devices. It's just incredible what they do with all of that. But you also have the ability to create new materials that are stronger, more comfortable, as well as self-healing. So I'm going to talk to you briefly about 2 companies there. Uniqlo, when they started out, they're the ones that brought a lot of this new technology to the forefront. And what was incredible when they started is a lot of the fashion houses just said this is a low-end company. They're never going to amount to anything. When that company is now worth $100 billion, none of those fashion houses are laughing anymore. I've talked to you about one other company, a company called Figs. Two incredible entrepreneurs, Trina and Heather, in 2013, looked at what doctors and nurses were wearing. And they said, what if you took those scrubs that they're wearing and put these new materials into it? What if you made it comfortable, and if you made it antiviral, antibacterial? And what if you actually made it look good, look sexy? What could happen? 2 weeks ago, they took that company public on the New York Stock Exchange, and it's now worth $5 billion. What's more than that is Trina and Heather are the first two female entrepreneurs to take a company public on the New York Stock Exchange. For all the women here, this is your time. So we've gone through the industrial age, the information age, the digital age. 30 years from now, when we look back at this age, this is going to be the age of everything. So how do you take advantage of this? I just want to talk about a few ways that you can go through and take advantage of it. The first is to go through and dream. Never stop dreaming. I dream all the time, and support yourself with people who are going to go there and encourage and support you as you do it. But there's an important concept with dreaming called adjacent possibility. Your dreams and your innovations are limited by the things you expose yourself to. So expose yourself to a lot, to new books, movies, cultures, people. For the next 20, 30 years or more, say yes more than you say no to new things. Expose yourself to it a lot. So once you have these ideas, I'm going to take one idea from my last speech. Remember that dreams without hard work is delusion. So what does it mean to work harder? Work hard means what do you spend your free time at? So if you go into a room of 100 or 1,000 people that you don't know, you have the confidence that you do it better than them. Whatever it is. Once you know what you do well, you have two paths you can take. Now, some of you are like my brother, who knew from the time he was very young what he wanted to do, and he worked very hard and he achieved it, and that's wonderful. You'll be the Olympic athletes, the Nobel laureates and all. I was not like that. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I didn't believe that I could be the best at anything. So for me, there was a different theory. It's called the purple cow theory. The purple cow theory is to take a few things that you're good at, combine them to make something that's uniquely you. So I'm pretty good at technology, I'm pretty good at finance, but when you combine those two, I tend to be pretty good at that. That's my specialty. So you can go through and combine things that you do well to make the purple cow. Now, just put a side note here. The purple cow theory is completely different from putting lipstick on a pig. So just keep those, are very different theories. So once you have the purple cow, the question is this a hobby? You know it's not a hobby if people are willing to pay to read what you write, to watch what you're producing, to buy what you're making. And could you make this a career? It goes back to what they call the 1,000 tribes. Can you get 1,000 people who are willing to pay $100 a year to go through and to follow whatever you're producing? If you do, you might have a career there. So the last part I'm going to touch on is why you shouldn't listen to me. Now, to be honest, when I first thought that this was going to be a virtual talk, I was going to name this When You Should Stop Listening to Your Teachers. But then they told me some of the teachers were going to be here, so I said, I'm just going to call this When You Should Stop Listening to Your Parents. But then they said the parents are going to be here, so I'm just going to call this Why You Shouldn't Listen to Me, because I have no idea what I'm talking about here. It's a very simple thing. In life, you will never arrive at your unique destination if you just follow in the footsteps of others. And the easy path is leaving the path. What's hard is knowing when and how to do it. So I'm going to give you 3 easy things here. So listen, learn, leap. Listen starts with anybody with experience has something to teach you. It's up to you to make them comfortable enough with you to go through and teach it to you. The second thing is going through and understanding what they're good at teaching you. Everybody has an expertise, and you want to make sure you ask them for advice in their expertise. Somebody who's good at giving you career advice may not be the person you want to ask for relationship advice. Somebody who's good at investment advice may not be the person you want to go and ask for health advice. So let's listen. Learn. Learn is about taking theory and moving it to practice. It starts with respecting knowledge, and then you need to embrace it, use it, understand it, and then you can understand how you can modify it, make it better, and most importantly, make it work for you. So when you go through and do that process, it's a slow process that will take knowledge and make it wisdom. The last thing that you want to go do is leap, and leap is a balance here. You want to leap far so that you do something that's meaningful, significant, ambitious. But you don't want to leap so far that you die on your first leap. So you want to make sure that you know yourself, choose your leaps, so you give yourself a chance to leap again. In life, if you give yourself a chance to leap multiple times, you will increase the probability that you'll succeed. Now, you can see a lot of parents are going, I can't believe, how long is this guy going to talk for? So if you don't, I'm actually going to ask the parents here to stand up. Get them off the feet. You've been sitting for such a long time. Please stand up. So on behalf of all of the parents and grandparents here, I'm going to thank each one of you, not for what you've done and not for what we achieved. It's incredible, and we're here to celebrate it. We want to thank you forward for what you're going to do. We want to thank you now because we know that the world will be a better place because of you. And even though a lot of us will not be here to see all the things you do, we want you to know that no matter where your journey in life takes you, no matter where there's stumbles, challenges, and yes, even failures, you have our undying love, our eternal support, and our unwavering belief in you. So will all those join me in giving this incredible group of young adults, this ASM class of 2021, a standing ovation.
We now come to that point in the program where diplomas are presented by the headmaster, the director of the upper school, and the chairman of the board of trustees. Mr. Cam Ducharme, senior grade level coordinator, will address the class first. Llegamos a ese momento de la ceremonia en el que el director del centro, el director de secundaria y el presidente de la junta directiva harán entrega de los diplomas. Antes de esto, el señor Ducharme, tutor de la promoción del 2021, les dedicará unas palabras.
Let's see if I remembered to shave. Yeah, okay, good. So, I also have to do this always first, because I'm inevitably taller than everyone I come before, but that's about it. There we go. So, good afternoon, class of 2021. Let's try this again. There we go. And there are absolutely no more than 2 immediate family members zigzagged around the room. We're about to enter that part of the enter that part of the ceremony that turns the palms of my hands into river deltas, right? Caused by the polysyllabic last names that I'm about to have to read. And my Massachusetts tongue refuses to roll or twist. I'm only slightly comforted by the fact that Mr. Hamlin has yet to speak. And well, Revere is definitely Massachusetts. All right, so first, let us congratulate all of the wonderful speakers that we've already heard from. Mr. Bai, who better still be watching the stream right now, right? This incident didn't turn it off. The incident, his 5-minute and 17-second speech was over. Mr. Bolster, Mr. D'Souza, and we were also graced with some incredible student speakers this afternoon. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Gonzalo. Thank you, Lucas. It truly is a challenge to sound even remotely articulate after you guys, so I won't even try. No, just kidding. I'll try briefly. So, to start in true history teacher fashion, I'll give you my thesis. That is, create, don't consume. Now, also in typical graduation speech fashion, I'll circle my way around to it through a series of quick anecdotes, knowing glances, pauses for laughter. Good. All right, so now we have that set. When I was brainstorming, though, about what to say to you guys, I began to think why it was me standing here talking to you. And the simple answer to that is nothing, other than tradition. I'm just the 12th grade coordinator, as well as a history teacher with a penchant for stories about rabbits and walls. Ivy history joke there. So what business do I have about giving some 85 soon-to-be graduates and their parents advice? What life experience, wisdom, successes from my life give me any special reason to tell you all how to be? Because let's be honest, graduation speeches are frequently do this, feel that, think this, fear that. Now, we've been lucky that today that hasn't been like that, and we've actually had speakers with actual bona fides to be able to give advice. But me, total transparency here. I began wondering why I felt unworthy to give a talk like this. And it's been a tough 18 months for many of us. Scratch that, pretty much all of us. So how did you handle it? How did you respond to a year and a half, and counting, of restrictions, unknowns, and challenges? Total transparency here again. I didn't respond very well. I think it was because I was too intent on consuming. Over the time, I began to focus, perhaps too much, almost to the point of obsessing, over things I couldn't do, consume, and I got increasingly frustrated and unhappy. I looked at the world around me, and I just saw the word no. It was as if my mind had been infected. And then when a no disappeared, all of a sudden you could travel, or you could go to a restaurant, or you could go for a walk outside of a given timetable. I jumped at it. I'd suffered. And so now I deserve the reward. That's what I thought, the privilege. So I grasped at these rewards and these privileges. But what really makes someone deserve something? I posit that when you create, see, thesis, right? That when you create, when you risk, when you put something back into the world, that's when you deserve something. What perhaps could look like this? Well, creation can take many forms. And as I want to use this term in a very open-ended sense, I'll draw on some examples that I observed during that time. In fact, two wonderful and very different types of creation were done by people very close to me. One, who many of you know, created artistically, writing and publishing a novel. The other, who I doubt any of you know, my sister, was raising an actual human being, her son, that I can't wait to meet this summer for the very first time since he was born a year ago in February. Now, I'm not imploring you all to go out and write a novel or raise kids. Now, that would be an interesting theme for a graduation speech that would certainly pretty much guarantee I would never be asked to give another one in my life. But what I would like to suggest to you all is this, is that you act like creating is indispensable to living a full life. To complete the circle here, by focusing on creating, like many of you already do, you may start to view challenges as opportunities rather than storms to weather. By focusing on creating, you may also avoid that feeling of frustration because your focus will be on what you can do and what you can control rather than what you can't. Lastly, by focusing on creating, you will be actively making the world a better place, and there's absolutely no more honorable or essential task than that. In fact, you've already begun. You're about to graduate. The world is about to become a better place. So let's create the class of 2021, shall we? Thank you. Will the first row please stand? Fatima Nael A.H. Al-Hain. Mateo Alvarado Colis. Alexander Aod Arele. Maria Arizabalaga. Hannah Rose Babst. Cassandra Barona Larthon. Jacobo Barnuevo Ibarra. Lucia Bernabeu Rodrigo. Lucia Berni Gonzalez. Jesus Boveda de Castro. Nastisha Brooks. Martín Campos Vaidecabres. Alejandro Correro Rosano. Natalia Chaul. Creston Christensen Garrido. Yavuth Chengal. Will the second row please stand? Alfonso de Vargas. Maya de la Hoya Fernández Longoria. Paula de Prieto. John Miquel Erquigaga Sanchez. Alejandro Fernández de Oroz Sanchez. Cristina Fernandez Sanchez. Tobias Forney Griego. Sofía Belén Freire Carales. Mateo Gomez Areche. Paul Gomez Morales. Andrea González Martín. Hugo González Redondo. Camila Guinazu Dolan. Maria Gut Yado. Will the third row please stand? Hans Helmrich. Elisa Gendel. Ana Higuera Candela. Carolina Jacobs. Sarah Ko. Elisaveta Konopleva. Mohammed Abouia K. Lamin. Sofía Lanaspa San Jacinto. Isabella Laplana Zabarain. Manuel Lara Agualo. Jongbom Lee. Bishwan Lee. Antonio Lorenzo Liroth Martinez. Menthia Yado Martin. Eva Libera Lubrano di Scorponiello. Nicolo Jaime Manfredini Paragues. Will the fourth row please stand? Alexandra Marculia. Teresa Martinez Laredo. Nela Masus. Lucas Menendez Esquivel. Sofía Beatriz Meza Ramos. Dmitry Miatovich. Maxima Adelaida Milano Angevine. Daniel Mosini. Jose Moles Jover. Jaime Morales. Ian Oliver Moreau. Jose Maria Ordaz. Santiago Ortiz Garcia. Derek Ruben Ortiz Rivalta. Will the fifth row please stand? Raquel Oviedo. Marco Joaquín Pangaro Morellen. Carolina Maria Narciso Pinto. Gonzalo Quintanilla Payet. Ryan Catherine Ricks. Clara Robles Fernandez Revuelta. Sofia Cristina Roche Vidaure. Valeria Rodas Castillo. Laura Rodrigo. Angel Rodriguez Fernandez. Teresa Rodriguez Carmona Garcia. Roberto Sabater Gomez. Santiago Sacchini. Esther San Roman Martin. Brenda Stevens. Braden Stoltz. Will the last row please stand? Casilda Suarez de Puga Zobel de Ayala. Juan Tomas de Carranza. Eugenia Mercedes Torbar Socorro. Peter E. Van Donk. Eduardo Van Puis Patiño. Guillermo Vergara Muñoz. Nicolás Vergos de Zavala. Elijah David Weddle. Karen Yonayama. Lucas Zubiaga Maharg. Will the last row please be seated?
We're almost there. Class of 2021, honored guests, parents, families near and far, colleagues, it is my privilege and honor to close out this ceremony. Class of 2021, this is the moment you have worked toward and looked forward to for so long. I first met many of you when you were in grade 5, and I was the new lower school director. I watched you carry the flags of the world into the auditorium for our first assembly. I celebrated your goals on the playground. I arbitrated your arguments. You argued a lot. But I noticed something then that has held true for all these years, even as new members of the class joined in. You argued a lot, but you stuck up for each other. When challenged, you rallied. Some of my gray hairs are yours, but just so are many of my smile lines. I would like to give you something in return. This is the advice part that so many of the other people have mentioned. It's always hard to come last in these because all the good lines have been taken, sometimes more than once. I love to walk, and some of you may have seen me walking to school and home. I love to walk because on the way from here to there, thoughts come to me, unexpected, unrehearsed. I have learned to set aside plans and lists as I walk to keep my mind clear and open. I find things that way. bullets and shell casings in the campo, fossils, arrowheads, solutions to questions I haven't thought to ask. A longtime board member said something that has stuck with me. We were talking about where ASM students go to university and what makes a good university. He said, "No one knows the university where you'll meet the love of your life. No one knows which college has the professor who will set your mind on fire. No one knows where you'll arrive and know you belong." He was right. We discover these things not in the planning, but in the living. They arrive unexpectedly with no time for rehearsal. We can spend our lives getting from point A to point B, focused on the next step in our plan, only to find much later that the plan has changed, but not us with it. We are still as we were when we started. We might wonder then how others found opportunity while we were going too fast to see to either side. You are stepping forward, and I won't say into the next chapter because it's been said before, into the next phase of your lives. Live openly and fully so that opportunities arrive and find you ready. Step forward boldly, rally when challenged, keep your minds and hearts open to opportunity, prepare for change. You are ready.
I thought it would start at 6:30. I'm a little winded. I kind of ran a little bit of the way here. I blame my wife, though. I guess you can't say that nowadays. Some of you may remember that for many years the benediction was given by a religious figure. Then it was decided that since we are a secular institution, a member of the faculty, voted by the senior class, would deliver the invocation and the benediction. I remember my surprise at being chosen that first year. But what I remember most is trying to avoid the use of the word blessing, bendition, in my benediction. It was not easy, and I will cast that reservation aside and use the word blessing once again. In fact, there is no better way, no better word to convey my sentiments. Graduates, although this has been a frustrating year in many ways, although you've been deprived of some of our important rituals tied to an American graduation ceremony and an American education, you graduates have been blessed with a power, a truly transformational power, education. In a year when most schools have been closed to in-person learning, you have attended school every day. You have attended class every school day. ASM teachers and staff continued with sports and activities. Whether you realize it today or not, you, all of you, have been blessed with the power of an education. In a year when keeping a school open and holding classes was truly unique, the teachers of ASM taught and you, the graduates, learned. And many times you taught and we learned. This is a blessing. As you celebrate this important event, remember, it's up to you to use this power. This is not the finish line. This is only another beginning. And so, from someone who is ending their journey to the graduates who are beginning their journey, may you find the courage and wisdom you will need for your future. From my heart, all the best.
Will the class of 2021 please rise? This is a little bit related to the Plan B. By the authority granted me by the Board of Trustees of the American School of Madrid, and by our accrediting body, the Middle States Association of Schools and Colleges, I pronounce you, graduates of the American School of Madrid, ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2021.
the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
Hello? Hi, if you would like to just go to the middle school commons area to mingle with each other and with your graduates.
With Gary.